Today's date is the 16th of January 2026. OBINexu is bound, OBINexu, my constitutional framework is bound by Article 51 of the United Nations, the Constitution of Human Rights. Never Act 50. We are bound by it worked, which is true. So that's why my legislation matters. You cannot change that, no one can change that, no, I don't care what authority, no one can change them. Only my constitution from and no one's listen. If anybody wants to suffer from blood, sweat, and tears and prove it, but they can't use OBINexu to prove it because we are Article 51 bound only. So basically, I'm making sure that no one can use my framework, legally, I run a constitution. A constitution is where you live, work, and breathe. We breathe first. You're allowed to breathe air for free. You just walk in, you're breathing the air. You're walking there. You're living before you breathing before you're living. You're breathing before you're alive before you're breathing. You're breathing because you're alive, and you're living because you're working. Before you live, so that's why openness matters. So I'm gonna enforce this policy because no one can use because I declare if people can use up to 50. That's last year, but I've already opted into up to 51. So no one can use up to 51 because outside the claim self-interest. So you're violating OBINexu's code of conduct policy. That's the invariant policy. Because you can prove that you had a lot of issues as blood, sweat, and tears. You can't show that. If there's someone else to use a different way, I don't care what method. You just state Article 51 to assume something. That's the first policy. You can't use Article 51 rights to self-defense. Because my constitution defends me. I don't want anybody trying to copy that model. It's no copyright law. It's what I'm saying. You can't trademark it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I opted to defend myself, not to because you worked a lot. Something to do on Article to UN Charter work to say. So that's the United Nations Charter. Article 50 is to rise to leave the UN. And that's do your own thing. But my one is right because that's I mean if it's beautiful, you're not going to start all over again. I don't want to. I don't want that. So that's what OBINexu's policy. That's OB's policy. That's the OBINexu's initiative. That's one that freed all. Because all this is working in Nigeria. But that means that's one that gives us 80 human rights, guys. That's the one. We have 30. We don't have enough. We have 80 now because of me. So my radiography system is bound by security by design. So basically, designed about how the thing is being. So we go by echo chamber, which is like my echo chamber, which is my shower. But it's a shower, but it comes anyways. So you go to the fog and the thing is steam. But anything that makes the echo only that dissipates but has the echo, is what's allowed to be in there, like steam. You put in steam, you get steam, more steam, it goes in, it gets out, because it's more of a system of safety, like a safety protocol for the steam, for the chamber itself, because the chamber can rot, basically you can have steam affect the walls, but the steam will degrade the system. So that's why I'm putting this is a policy I'm saying, because if it's like I'm going through, if the echoes bouncing through the walls, I'm saying. So basically, today I'm gonna make a complaint to Nigerian INEC team. So already done that. So this the electromagnetic spectrum, electromagnetic signature by design, space sparse lattice disjoint lattice. So definition: EM electromagnetic, security by design. This is the video title. Sparse lattice. So sparse means how it's modeled, and the lattice means the disjoint, the space is shares, and the lattice is disjoint, intersection, and joint, which is union. So these are the four models which give you a coherence operator. We can get basically the correlation between two models or two lattices. Two leptons are one. I'm showing the model here. So the via radiography motion, because the radiography, if you get a bleep and a bloop, you're talking about sonar waves. But these are pulses. These work on bleeps and bloops. These are pulses in the ocean. But these pulses are pings, are bleeps and bloops. But you can hold a pulse, or you can, if you hold a pulse, you're holding a state like a ping, beep. Basically, that pulse is not louder, it just dissipates more. Before it dissipates. But you have to hold that pulse. You can just say ping, you can get rid of something. You can get a ping and give you a map, you can get a pulse. A pulse is held ping. So just thinking about it because I remember this because I am Nigerian. Basically I'm gonna have three complexes. So my first compound is gonna be a military compound, but it's gonna be like I'm trying to design a military compound, but I'm trying to design it but with humanity in mind. But that's my question. So the first one is security first. So design the question is about my military stability. So OB's military compound is literally OB that owns it. It's not Uche. So, but SS compound is good. So Uber has a security design, has control of the security design. What's the next knowledge? As in, no, OB has the security by design, the heart of the heart and soul in mind, and that's what everything. So OB owns ring 0 with center ring. As a own ring 1 and which owns ring 3. That's the model because it is far there. So actually, it doesn't want to build them, but it's just one compound becoming three complexes. So a triplex is three complexes, but we just one. Start with one. So I'm saying. So just 3 to 1. So that's basically what it is. Everyone starts with this. Just start with this model because this one I'm starting with. When I die, not a problem. You don't find a way. So I am tripolar, but I'm 4 person in one. So this is my proof by secret design because designing systems, which is a trident packet. So trident packet just means three. Basically, when you send a message, you get three representations of it. Basically, the system has to go through some kind of function that transforms the information, like some kind of a translation, rotation, skewing, if possible, to get the same message back. Because the screen is just the last resort. If you can't get the message. So this can be can be a message. I love you, Namdi. Okay, look, because this is I love you, Namdi. So let me try to give you the paper format because I don't want you guys to get it wrong. Okay, I'm gonna make this video formal. So let me get I love you, Namdi. Basically, the problem is the referential information, like I and you, me, myself, and I, is the problem. It's not a difficult talk, it's just a problem. So, then I'm going to do me, myself, and I. Who am I talking to? That's why this model is not a gimmick, guys. It's just who you are. Are you talking to yourself? Who are you referring? Me, myself, and I. So, me, myself, and I. That's why I'm talking mine. So, I love me. I love me. I love me too. I love myself. But I love me sounds incomplete because it is incomplete. You can't love yourself. You can't love me. Me is you. So why are you saying that yourself? It doesn't make sense. I love myself. Yes, I love myself. You can say, then I have a great. You can say, this is a dependent clause. But I love me. I love me is a sentence. This is a short sentence, but you can use I love me. I love myself. Not completely. I love myself. I love I. You see, this doesn't make sense as a parser. Not even Alexa says it doesn't make sense as I love I. Who do you love? So you got Alexa, which is a token exam, or token exam. This can I the word love gonna define the love. You can categorize this is a trend token exam. So I, me, who, Obi, not Eze. Because but there's three poles. So which actually has the reality, and he has a space for that. This is space capture. So he has a space to determine who he is. But that space code has a time frame, and that time frame is shared of realities. But realities is literally a time lapse. So if you think of a time lapse, this passing by, it can pass by because of different. There's a time video but they have different. You can't infer things by just watching time lapse. We can't tell what's actually happening. So it's like if I record a video, a long video, I lose context of why I recorded the video because and I start to pick out new information, or say vice versa. Because if so that's how it works. So it's not works. This is experiment that happen. See, I would say that. So if you have like a Polaroid camera and you set it to record 25 years, you wanna find out what that. If it takes to take a long picture, 25 years away to take a picture, that's what I'm saying. 25 years is a long time, but that's what we do. I'm gonna we to perform this experiment. So as a pilot, if you don't this would be a camera, a security camera outside everyone's house with a radio dish. This is supposed to be everyone's gonna do this, but everyone's gonna do it in the compound model. Because I'm making this so if you have a house in condition, you have a house, I give you a house, you have to keep that camera, security camera running, running from however long you're gonna get. So you're gonna get 1 year to keep it running, but that's your camera to keep running. If that camera goes wrong, that's just that one camera has to face outside your house, never your house. It has to be in the safe space outside your house, and you can point it outwards to neighbor. I want you to do it, but you have to just make sure that personal camera I gave you is just running, because the idea of this is just to have some kind of information, see what happens. for 24 years before I take a picture. Whoa, because it's probably because of the time lapse. What will happen if you take a picture 25 years of waiting or 10 years? But we're gonna do a 1, 3, 5 years of the houses. So that's why I propose. So that's something like that. We can do 5 to 10 years, 10 to 15 years. You can give the camera any time. You leave. You're gonna leave. You wanna leave. So if you wanna leave, you give the camera back. We'll get the evidence. Because I want people to able to use the cameras and move around, but not touch it directly. So you can control the camera, you can check it. But the goal is to have. So you get 2 started 3. You get 5. No, you get how many? You get 4 cameras. You get 8 cameras. 4 backup. In case anything happens. So, but you're gonna be using them. To record around your house, but the polar cameras, the cameras they are that color, but you can't never record. You can record. You don't have to record yourself. You don't need to record yourself. But if it catches you, you have to leave it there. That's the party. If you want a free house and you're not part of the because the trick is there. Because the goal of this is just to see what happens after a long time to Polaroid filters. And those are the things that I'm using for quantum physics. So, because the Polaroid filters take in information and they do so perfectly. I'm quite confused. You have to develop photos with a Polaroid camera. You can develop some photos. We don't need to do that. So basically, you can develop photos with cameras, but you don't have to do that. So that's the process. You have 2 processes. You have to put in a dark room to get the light. Because light seeps through, color seeps through the darkness, and that's why radiography matters. So this is a radiography project for me, Tambi. So, but I want anyone to be able to do it. So it's not anyone can do anyone. So I'm trying to find out whether darkness in photography have an effect on the development of photo, or just take a picture. Because you're going to take a picture in the light. So you have the other one too. So if you have a science room, if you have a room of darkness, you have to have that manually. What is going to be dark for a long, long time? Anyway, we're gonna have that camera there. You have to have double camera, 16 cameras. So everyone gets 16 cameras for light and darkness together. That'll be 4 cameras out at one time for each room. Because you don't destroy it, the goal is just to find out what happens. I should cameras everywhere there's children. As a positive everywhere there's children in public, there should be this kind of cameras, that we're developing. Because that means we are actually tracking stuff properly. You give a child a camera, they can take a picture. And that's why when the polar cameras with the program you're the signal. I'm saying, so what is it? What is it? Can the camera can the camera can the camera capture blindness? What it means to be blind? Because if it gets blind, it gets flash. It's a big question for me. I'm saying I'm not scared of the camera. I'm just scared that I would never know it's going to find that. So if the camera goes flash and it takes a picture, bam, it captures everything that happened in that one frame because it's been waiting to take a picture as recorded. So because it's recording in time. So what happens before that time it takes that picture? That's the goal of the camera project. So it's like when we start, so the camera's been taking the picture and recording at the same time, because I'm gonna do that, and that's the because you can do that. You can do that. So if I didn't see that, so we're gonna try to develop the films. For support, every camera go through 2 films, so we have to all the tape, all the measurements for 50 years. No, double it, because if we double, 50, no, make it to 100 years. Try that. So 25 times 2, 25 to the power of 3 as well. Because that current problem is annoying me to the power of 3. So basically, 25 years to the power of 3 is 1,500. So we have enough film and tape double. So 1,500, 605 kilobytes, no, gigabytes, megabytes, terabytes. Petabytes is a bit harder. Let me just write it down. Kilobytes, sorry. Bytes, megabytes, kilobytes, terabytes, petabytes. So the bus would be we have 1 terabyte and above for this project for each housing. I don't know. So if I give you 16 cameras, you have 1 terabyte to store those storage. 2 terabytes. I don't trust myself, guys. I want to see what happens before I know something. When I wake up, those are the things I say. Because I start to see, I'm in a dream state, but what do you see from my angle before I open my eyes? And what is quantum system mean? Because this is a very big project for me. So I'm doing a problem. So, next question. So this is like a any way, pathway, or shape of what's a polar system here. So you see, that's so this one writing down here. Okay. So basically, I'm looking at myself. So I'm writing the proof, here. So go. So go here. You got it here. But these red lines are just path. Every pathway, shape, or form. Because you can come from this angle here. You can come from the blue angles here. But these are angles you can come from outside. But then this triangle is watching it. So this triangle is just a space of watching. So you get a triangle. Inscribed triangle is what I call inscribed triangle inside a circle. So you can observe one full reality of three dimensions, which are three quarters. 1, 2, 3. 4. But the fourth one was if you quadrupolar, you have to, because I know quadrupolar can exist, so is quadrupolar, but that means they have time. I believe I can quadrupolar, but I can't prove it. I'm trying to prove I'm tripolar, but so my tripolar position, I'm quadrupolar, I can say I'm quadrupolar, but it doesn't mean anything to me. Because I observed the time and space before I was born. But what would that mean to me? What does that actually mean? So that means you can observe everything, you know what's gonna happen next. We know instinctively. It's just your experience. But I lost a dimension when I was born. I saw a thought, but I never died. So because I would have died, I would have collapsed. So I stabilized. So I never died. So I never really. I thought obviously my release have shifted frame of reference and I'm becoming a body. But I believe on 4D because I believe how travel works. You have to be three-dimensional to be basically I can observe anything in this frame of world. Doesn't matter if I'm in a room, I can change the body I am in if I have enough, if I have the teleport, the energy, the lapis energy, and the lambda integration to do something, because my body can be in someone's body and I can free myself, out of this place, out of this room. But because I can work on that proof right now, and that's why I'm happy on Tripolar. But I don't need to do that. I don't care about them, But I can do that, just by documenting information around me, having the space to do it in the room. But I can't do that, because that's not the way. It doesn't make sense. I can't. So, for example, this is like a net cube, no, a net triangle. So the net of a triangle is the surface. So basically, if you take a net, some kind of net, and you chuck it on a square, no, on a triangle, on a trapezoid, you get three distinct polar angles. So basically, you get something that moves. Basically, this is the update to the bubble coordinate system. So in the bubble coordinate system, you get a net, and this is a net, but that net is subdivided. It's divided into triangles because it maps perfectly. It's precise and accurate because it's basically a triangle system. So you check the net on a trapezium, which is basically it is not a triangle. It is three-sided sphere, three-sided triangle that has three faces, one, two, four faces, four triangle faces, and that faces have a base, a height, and a width, and those faces have not called by net. So the idea is to have the net define the bubble. Okay, so the more, so you take that, and you wrap it around what I call the needle, the foundation of the campus, and when that in a prism, so the prism is a prism, and when the light shines on it, you can take a quantum measure of the net, net of the prism and the net, but whichever light, but the light will be your consciousness frame of reference, whatever system, because because system. So the purpose of this, so if you have a password system, Namdi, remember this. You can measure your fingerprint password, because your finger has some kind of a shape, and that's what I'm referring to. Because it works because your finger has kind of data, and that data is like this net. But that data is unique. So you can't fake it. You can fake it, yes, because if you match the kind of surface area of this ontology, and that's not a problem. Because you can call it too. So it's a hacking prevention because the net is your fingerprint surface because it's all bumpy, and that's why it works. It's bumpy, has some texture. You can feel the surface. And it works because it's sensitive. So it adds more sensitivity, and the sensitivity is indirect. You can't take it seriously and claim it's something else because someone you can't. It's indirect sensitivity because you can't take someone's fingerprint and match it to someone's fingerprint from That's your brothers. And that's why you're scared of it. But I have so you got to for the iris, because people I want people to look into their fingers and the eyes and the nose and the mouth, and the ears. I have the prefer to log in. By breathing down the tube, and because if you breathe down the tube, you're not inhaling anything. You can't. Not inhaling, because you just have to breathe out. So the tube allows you to take your the humidity of it and take the duo something, but can breathe through your nose. It's a humorous or it's a policy reference. You can. But the goal of this is to fucking totally. So the goal of this here is to turn on the thing. So basically, I've got the proof here. So the proof is really the kind of compass is set up is the kind of goal, but it's not an annoying thing. It's just the thing I have to do. So basically, the net represents the kind of tomography of the, but it doesn't have to be. But the tomography is like a bubble color framework. So the bubble color framework just means we are dark and black, But what does it mean for us to have some kind of parcel system that we all share? Something to say. I'm not being racist. If you don't want a white bunny to log into your computer, your white bunny OS, your Muko OS, your Muko bunny says you are black bunny. How would you get that to reject all white bunny inputs? Because I'm not saying I'm racist. I'm saying because my OS is a bunny. I'm trying to look at a bunny, but I'm trying to get Namdi to log in because he's a black bunny. But Namdi cannot log in because he's not a bunny in any way, shape, or form. So that's why I stopped the proof because I got So that's what the policy we use. We don't use black or white. We use kind of animal things because animals are literally can be the same process, all the qualities and even more than us at one angle, no dimension. And it allows us to see better. So let's see about so the lapis represents tomography, and to teleport something, you have to have the full dimension, one full dimension. And that's one by dimension. I mean a literal space of that thing that holds nothing and everything of that one person that can change. So the goal of this is to have a x for X-ray squared plus y for Yankee squared equals r for Romeo squared, and that is the goal. That is taking the tangerine or something that's a surface, because the surface represents some area you are measuring, but just to get information from the area first. So this is a disjoint proof via potential differential equation. No, partial differential equation. But we have a potential model, potential energy model, because the potential, you get potential partial differential equation, I get because it works on physics, you get work done. So I am using work done to push my framework of security, because if you haven't done work, that means you start potential energy, something potential system, some potential energy to give, so you can give it back. You don't want an unstable force. So basically, this kind of system is like so if this prism exists, if this needle exists, which is the four-sided one, two, three, four, which is a pointer to one dimension and one pole. Because this is north, this is east, this is north. Basically, north is here, other side. North, east, south is this way, south and west. This is what I'm saying. But if I'm looking north, that's what the compass is measuring. So the compass there should be looking north. If I'm facing to the north, I'm telling you this is north. But the system measures up looking north, but that's information. I'm looking north. It's like I'm looking north because there's something north here that I want to achieve. So automatically, even though if I start looking, I need the space and the time because I'm already thinking about looking north. So I need some space, and that's why I don't want people to lock out of the count. I don't want people to lock out of the count forever. So continuing. So basically, the left-hand proof for this, the space we all share, based on our qualia, black never work. Obviously, the white person, human people that say that are happy in the white. Left-hand proof. Someone's screaming against him. I'm saying it's true. So left-hand is just a medium. So I am using the worst one. So you get a tour. The tour is the 1,000th of a measure to you need to take. So you get a 10th of a measure. This is the left arm for gravity, and gravity is all electron. So you get gravity in all direction, but you don't feel it. It's frictionless. You know, basically, it doesn't need to pull you down. It pulls you down because you know where how to interact with it. You don't do it directly. That's the proof. You don't need to be in a gravity field to to go because the gravity is stable. It's stable. You know, so 1/1000, 1/1000 is what a torque gravity is. So you get 1/10. What I'm saying is a standard lepton. If you want to take a measurement, you need something that can observe the 1/10 of the measure. And 1/100 is a mu1. It means 1/100, so you get 100 of that reality, of that ratio. So 1/10, but basically, this more the more you get, the more precise you know what happened. Okay. So basically, the left arm can be is a plane, and that plane is one dimension because it has 1,000, which is a tour. So if you're taking a tour and you're measuring the T for tango, E for R for U for umbrella, which is a tour, and you get M for mother, M for Mike, U for umbrella, O for Oscar, F for the which is 100 of lepton, alpha lima, E for echo, P for papa, T for tango, E for echo, lepton, F for lima, E for papa, P for papa, T for tango, O for onion, T for N for November, not T. Lepton, this is just what gravity measures. So gravity, I define, is a vector field. The field is space-time continuous. It's a stable field. It's an isotopically stable plasmoid field because it's easy. It doesn't. You don't curve with gravity. Gravity accounts for you. Accounts for you. You don't. That's the problem. If I'm riding a bike, the bike is upright. Yes, two wheels, two poles. But something potential. The more of work I do, and the potential work is stable. So this one consists of stable artifact of because there's no breaking of system because it only needs two artifacts stable. So and that's the field equation. So why go what is a tensor to model the kind of biome around the model because you have the two-dimensional matrices. Which taken two push and pull realities of one system. But gravity push. So the left model is kind of cool. I'm gonna use what this person says. This is the one using all of this problem. So the left one is sparse means anyway it's modeled, event driven. Basically it's event bubbling driven because it drives the nature of things. So because you get a parabola, x squared plus y squared equals r squared. You get the opposite parabola minus x squared. You can at some point you can get r squared, and that will determine the same thing at different space and time. It works. It works. The consensus model, lepton sparse model, observe and consume. So the system acts before making a system come in. So the goal of this is to have it safe and safe. So you have 4 quadrants to encounter, but you have to measure all the 4 quadrants. You don't know if I was in school, you measure all the 4 quadrants. The 4 quadrants have dimensions. They operate on. So you can't skip the 4 quadrant to measure as a proof in the because the 4 quadrant is like 270 degrees to 360. That's the verification phase. That's one of the most important phases. You can be tripolar, but you don't need to. You see, I don't want my system to know what it's doing without being telling what it's doing, and that's what I want my system to do. I don't want to. So if I'm using my OS, I want to use my fingers to log out as a point. I want to use my eyes to log in. I want to use my nose to log in. I want to use my booger, my taste obviously. I don't want to put anything in my nose. I want to get my booger and get it out and use it because I'm going to, I'm going to use my saliva and get it out as a policy. I want to use my tear if I can and get it out and use it because I can log it in. That's good log in. I can hear something. So if I can twitch my ears even, I will make this a policy. Now you can make it you work. You can get a sample of your DNA cartridge because it doesn't hurt me when I get DNA. It doesn't. It just pricks me. I get blood. I go because if I get in that's why it matters. That's why my oral cell passes on. So if I can get a strand of my hair, I can log it. But the goal is just to get the thing that's most sensitive information. But I won't do the last, do the damage because your hands, your finger, no cutting hands, you don't do the purpose, I don't touch you. So no cutting hands of people, no nothing is very positive. No, just do the job. Okay. So this is the model I made here. So you get the lepton. So the lepton is like sparse because it allows you to do the triple. But the truth is though you get a lepton. So everything can be at an angle. So don't say you get a SOHCAHTOA, this is but these are just one angle. So you can have a cosecant. A cosecant is a y over x. So the cosecant of what? 45 degrees. So sine is y. No, the cosecant is x over y. but the change, you can't divide by 0. So let me just try to take the angle 54 and find the cosecant of 54. This should work. So at an angle, it will be 1.2360679977749. This is the cosecant of the degrees 54 degrees. But this degrees is an acute angle. It's just, it's not an acute angle. It's a very small measurement. The computer has to hold in memory. And it wants me to do it without any problem. Because the goal of this camera model is to ensure that you can't. This is one derivative. This is one derivative of the angle, polar angle 45. But I can take another derivative. Let me try to times it. Basically, if I can times times cosine times 54 by 54, let's say we're going to begin, but it should be more units, 1 0. So this 0 got better, it got more. So, but this is two, basically, this two differences, either you get one positive difference and one opposite. Potential work is going to do 1.7, but this is the full unit, so you have to have a half. So, 1.7 will be a dimension of something work you cannot access. So, this is more formal, but it has to do a bit more. But this is tripod, you said to work, the potential device is literally working because you take one entire reality and see whether it folds in but doesn't break. You can wrap it around twice. But basically the bubble core framework is just a bubble because we live in a bubble universe. Because we live in a bubble universe, and that bubble is just pi 3.1415. Which is just, and I love it because pi, number pi is 3.1415926653. I don't need to know of pi to have a teleportation device. I just need to know how pi to the 45 degrees to teleport what I need. But I have pi to the 30 degrees here, 30 decimal places, which is enough for me to do what I need computation. Because if I can't find power, I'll make so basically we have the kind of framework for error coverage. So if you can create something, you can destroy it. If you can build something, you can break it. If you can release something, you can break it. So you want to once you creating the right things and never destroying anything. That has to go. That has to go from because when a quantum state breaks, it destroys. You cannot get it back. You cannot. You have to recreate it, and that's why the active systems, computer don't know what they're doing before they do it. It's not machine learning. It's not. I mean, because quantum own system, but I don't have the quantum to create. Because something crazy, if something crazy, you can't create again. You have to also. Someone can create. If someone's listening, they can create it on the end. And use it against you. That's what that means. But I don't want it to build breaks. So this is why I'm using the quantum because it's not even for the law. Because we're not a charity, guys. So if you can break something, you can build that thing. You can rebuild something else. But this one leave it there. If you can repair something, you can renew it. And that's the very point. That's what they work. So this is the way every pathway should perform. Let me just put my work here. From north. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically, I'm just trying to do something here. So basically, this is the compass. See, the compass is a triangle. So this is going to look. So you got a compass one. So you got Uche has reality, but Uche has one axis of this compass, this x-axis, and this axis is like this kind of triangle. Which triangles are a balanced triangle to an Uche triangle. So you get Uche here. This is a triangle, but the triangle is placed into a dimensional axis. So this center of the triangle is another point. So see, like this triangle is like so this point here in the center is entire dimension of what they can almost see, but it's pointed up. But basically, they have the space you can look at themselves inside the triangle. But the net up covers all. Basically, the up is just they're up. They're looking up, but they're facing forward. So this is basically a facing forward model because this two lapis left, which is the energy used to look up. When they move their head in the physical, but looking up is not infinitive. To be necessary, for me in this dimension, to be looking forward, looking right, looking forward in the future is nothing. You can see the future already. You can read the future, but looking up is next to impossible for you. If you don't tripod, if you don't comfortable, looking up means you're looking at a dimension, my dimension. You can't see. I look up all the time, guys. I look up because I want to be free, but I'm not free. So looking up is symbolic to me, but it's not disability, So literally, as long as you don't look at the lights, lights, because it doesn't mean anything. Never look at it doesn't mean anything because I look at the light, because I look it's not stability. I won't make it a policy. I will never make it a policy. Because the essay, which and doesn't look at something, the future, I look at the light and never look at the light. I look up because I think about the future so much. So where's the future? It's in Nigeria. I have to fly. And that's my plan. Thank you guys.